Welcome to PageStarter. I am Lisa Furlan, and today I'm joined with Ingrid Seymour. Ingrid is a USA Today best-selling author of over 50 novels. She writes new adult fiction in a variety of genres, including fantasy romance, urban fantasy, paranormal romance, sci-fi, and high fantasy. Those are like all the main genres, all with badass heroines and irresistible heroes. She used to work as a software engineer at a Fortune 500 company, but now she writes full time and loves every minute of it. She lives in Birmingham with her husband, two kids, and a cat named Aussie. Welcome. Welcome, Ingrid. So happy to
Thank
have you
you.
here
Thank you
today.
so much. Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. It's a pleasure.
Yes, yes. Okay, so let's just jump right in. So you have over 79 titles on Goodreads. So when I looked, I was like, oh my gosh, 79 titles. First off, that's a tremendous writing achievement. But can you tell me more about that and how you got started writing and sort of what sort of inspired you to go from working as a software engineer into writing full time?
Yeah, definitely. So I started a while back. It was right after my first child was born. And I don't know if it was that exactly that was like a catalyst. Maybe, you start a role as a mother and you feel like, is that all I'm going to be from now on? I want something of my own, maybe, to another interest other than my child, because for that first year of childhood you are consumed by that kid. And so I started to think, I was reading a lot of young adult novels at the time, and I started to think, I can write, I have all these ideas, and I could write a book. Of course, there was a big challenge that, I live in the States, but I'm originally from Honduras, and my native language is Spanish. And I had never, I mean, even though I went to college here, it was for computer science, so I didn't have any formal writing education. And so the first challenge was to learn how to write properly in English. And so I set myself a goal of learning to do that all on my own. And there were several forums online that I used to help me to find critique partners and things like that. And really, the people in my life, my actual, not just online, only my husband knew that I was trying to write. I call myself a closet author at the time. And I did that for about 2 years until I felt comfortable to start going to a group at here at my library and actually telling people, yeah, I'm writing a novel. I didn't feel like people were going to be, but you have an accent. Where are you from? Can you actually write in English? But it was more of like my own confidence type thing than anything else. And so then I started sharing my work, and people started saying, this is really good. I really enjoy it. When are you going to write more? And so that was very encouraging. And I had written two novels when I saw a open call from HarperCollins for a novel that actually, or for projects that actually fit the project I was writing. And I said, well, this would be an excellent fit. And I sent it in, and that got me my first agent and first contract. And that's when I thought, okay, I can write. If an editor at a big company, publisher, you know, thinks that they want to publish my series, I think I've made it. I don't need to feel not, uncomfortable about it anymore or self-conscious about it anymore. And that's how it all started.
That's incredible. I mean, I am an American native English speaker living in Sweden, so I completely understand this sort of insecurity in writing in a second language or third language or just an nth language that's not your native tongue. So it's even more impressive and incredible that you have accomplished all that you have. Do you think that was sort of your motivation and like spurred you to really push yourself, whereas maybe some other people may, feel like what do you think was the main difference in terms of, because pushing yourself to write so much in not your native language when you have so many more obstacles to overcome, it's really quite an inspirational approach, I think.
To be honest, I hadn't thought about that, whether that was a reason, because really I have been resilient about writing over many years, even having a full-time job as a software engineer. I kept going and going, even when my first novel, my very, very first novel, is been in a drawer forever and ever, and I doubt it's ever going to see the light of day. And so it was very many words of just learning, you know. It wasn't even anything that if I read now, I would probably be like, what was I doing? And so definitely I've always been the kind of person who loves a challenge. So it was definitely very challenging. There's a website that I use where people could critique each other back and forth, and I would critique their work and they would critique my work. And I learned so much from so very many generous people, because I was making mistakes. Prepositions are hard in any language, and I still battle with some of the prepositions, like on and in, because in Spanish there's only one that encompasses both of them, which is en, en. And so when do I use on? When do I use in? And then sometimes the rules don't make sense. The rules break themselves.
Yeah.
So I still struggle with that. And so it really was a challenge, just even learning saying sounding natural in dialogue, not like really forced dialogue. So it might have been part of it. In truth, I think it was kind of like an escape from work. So I would always write at lunchtime. I would take my lunch break. I would eat at my desk, but then I would take my lunch break and go write. And my goal was to write 1,000 words during my lunch break, or get as close as I could. And then when I would return from that break, you know, everything was, oh, this is not so bad. You know, whatever problems I was having, it was okay. And so I think there was a lot of that as well.
Now, I mean, you mentioned a lot of great things in there that I just want to like highlight, because like you said, like your first novel was really just a learning experience. Like you had to write your first novel to teach yourself how to write, really. And then you could go on. And I think that is something when the writing advice comes to like write every day, develop a habit, really it's just to get yourself into the habit of writing so you can experience the writing to get to the novel that is ultimately going to be the one that sees the light of day. So that's really interesting. And I think that's a hard truth that many authors don't even want to, like, you don't want to just throw away your first novel. You don't want to consider that like just, but if you think about it, it's experience, right? Like you have to experience the pain to go through it. You can't get to, 50 plus titles on Goodreads without, having that first one kind of in the drawer.
Yeah, definitely. And the goal setting was definitely a thing for me, because writing a full novel takes so much time and so much patience. And it wasn't until I read, because I had written a lot of first chapters, even in Spanish, but never moved on from there. And so I read On Writing by Stephen King, and he talks about he's a big goal setter, but his goal was huge. It's like 10,000 words a day or something like that. And my goal was 300 words a day. That was it. But I would make sure, no matter what was happening that day, whether it was a weekend or a holiday, that I would get those 300 words. And at first, those 300 words would take me a long time. And I would never imagine now I can write, 1,200 words in an hour, which to some people it's not a lot, but to me it's like, wow, I came from 300 to this, so it's awesome. So yeah, goal setting was so important to build that habit, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so take me back. So you're with HarperCollins. Are you still with HarperCollins? Because I know you have traditional published experience. How was that experience for you as an author?
Yeah, well, when you are a brand new author and you don't come with like a big contract, that somebody found you, like people who found Divergent, or that was her first story, and she got a huge contract right from the beginning. And I was writing YA, that's why I think of Divergent. But mine, it was a small contract that didn't have an advance. So right there from the start, if you're not getting an advance, you have to know they're not going to spend a lot of money in trying to advertise you. So, I had a good agent from a good agency, and, I had the contract with HarperCollins for 3 novels. In the end, though, I realized that that route was not really necessarily going to work for me, because the agent moved agencies. So then I stayed with the other agency. So I kind of didn't have an agent. I was with an agency, but I was kind of just floating there. And then the series, without any marketing, any big push, did what any series without marketing would do. I sold small numbers, and I was expected to do a lot of the marketing and earn my own readership, through my own efforts. And so that's when I realized, well, I'm doing all the work. And I had written another series that my agent didn't really, feel for that series. So, and then she moved on, and I was like, oh, this is just too much work, too much rejection that is hurtful, and you feel like I'm stuck. I have all these books that I've written, and there are people who I know would enjoy to read them, maybe not millions of people, but some people, And so I started to decided that I was just going to self-publish and focus on that. And that's what I've done since then, which that series came out in 2017. So for the last 6-7 years, I have been self-publishing, and lo and behold, my latest series is doing very well. And I've had a traditional publishing company contact me instead, that they want to publish these books. And I again got an agent just this year, and a very good agent as well. And she's been helping me get other traditional contracts and sell some of my rights just for audiobooks, for instance.
Okay.
While I keep some of the other rights. And that's amazing, because that was unheard of in the past.
Yeah.
She's also trying to get only like print deals, and so that I can keep the ebook deals. That way I can get in bookstores and things like that. And that's been happening to a lot of indie authors. Some friends have been so lucky that their books are going to be in Target and Barnes and Nobles and everywhere, whereas they're still keeping their ebook rights. So that is just amazing how much the market is changing.
Yes.
And it's crazy how it kind of went like a 180.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be, if you were traditionally published, you would never consider self-publishing. And if you were self-published, no traditional publisher would ever talk to you. No one's interested. And now it seems like there's a healthy back and forth. And if you do have an audience and you have built, a catalog of books, the traditional publishers are like, yeah, we don't need to take a risk. We know you're not a risk. We know you have a readership. We know you have proof of concept. So I think that's really positive for writers to hear. Now, you've been building your audience for 10 years now plus.
Yeah.
What, you've seen it. I mean, the internet has changed a lot in the past 2 years, past 6 months even. What strategies for audience building do you think? I know you've tried everything under the sun, everything from giveaways, teaming up with other authors, to, doing arcs. Like, what strategies have you found worked best, and which ones do you think it's antiquated, it's old, like don't even waste your time doing it?
Yeah. So definitely I've been doing it for a while, and through those years I have seen many changes, just like the internet has changed. Things keep changing, and indie authors are a very creative sort, and we are very resourceful and find ways to really revolutionize things, and really that's what's been happening. We move very agile. and we make things happen quickly. And that's why you see so many indie authors doing so well in the charts. I saw a list just recently of the top Kindle earners, and half of them were indie authors, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And so what you will notice when you come into the indie circles is that we're very helpful, we help each other a lot. We share all the information, we share all the techniques that we use, and that goes for marketing and acquiring readers as well. We even share readers. I know a lot of authors that we just post in each other's Facebook groups all the time because we share the same readers. And if you go to Amazon, you said, this author, so these other authors are also associated with you because readers are shared. And so we share those methods as well as how do we earn readers. And what I have learned is that one thing you have to do is you have to be willing to change and not get stuck on what used to work, because a lot of things used to work and now they really don't. And I've gone from all the way from when Twitter was really huge with, all book stuff, and a lot of the querying was happening on Twitter, like the pitch madness or whatever. And that's kind of how I found out about that HarperCollins things back then. And then now Twitter, people are just leaving Twitter, and then TikTok started. And of course, one thing that happens, another thing started, Instagram got better with the pictures for books, and just different things. Facebook has always been huge with advertising and getting contacts there, like advertising with them, and then those people join your lists. But you get burnout at some point also. You're like, oh, here's just something new that I have to learn. But even though you're going to feel that frustration, if you want to stay relevant, I think you have to keep changing with the times and with the technologies to be able to stay relevant and find the readers. Because the readers, like I'm writing fantasy romance, and the fantasy romance readers are on TikTok. And it really was thanks to TikTok and my promotions there that this series that I have, when it first came out last year in December, it wasn't doing very well. And that's when I said, okay, I hear all these things about TikTok. I know I have been fighting it. I don't want one more thing to worry about, but I think that same feeling is letting you have to do this. You don't want to, you're fighting it, but there's a reason why. And so I developed a strategy to work on TikTok, and by the time my second book came out on that series, it took off. So definitely, I think that the thing that has endured is building your newsletter. That's the thing that I still, from the very beginning, I started building a newsletter and getting people to join my newsletter. And it's still a tool that I use, and a tool that gets results every time I send an email out, to get sales or for a new release. Social platforms, don't ever just rely and assume that it's always going to be there. If you had 20 million followers on Twitter, now they would be worth 2,000 followers on TikTok. Yeah. So yeah, I would say, some platforms are outdated. And I know, as hard as it is, you sometimes have to say, I need to try this new thing. I know I'm getting old and I don't understand these buttons, but I think that's, for me, has been the way that I have remained relevant, because I'm still not a big name. Once you're a big name and you have all the followers and all the people who love you and they're constantly watching for your new release, that's different. You may not have to do all these things, but first you have to get there.
Right.
And if you haven't gotten there, you have to keep trying, if that's the kind of success that you're looking for.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. And you mentioned like resistance, like the resistance of like, oh, I don't want to learn a new thing. I don't want to try something new, but you do it anyway. And then you have a breakthrough and it's worth it. So I think that's also good for us
Yeah.
all to remember that these things feel insurmountable at the time, and then when we do them, it works. Now, speaking of like trying new things, you currently have a Kickstarter live right now for, you know, a deluxe limited edition of your Healer of Kingdoms series. So what made you decide to try Kickstarter after so many novels of, you know, doing the writing and the releasing and getting into a flow? What made you decide to give Kickstarter a try?
Yeah, definitely. So there really was a conscious decision on that part, because I had been writing. So I quit my job 5 years ago as a software engineer, and so I did not have an income to replace my income at work. I know not everybody can do that, but I have a very supportive husband who said, you know, let's do it. You know, we refinance our home even to be able to keep things manageable every month. And so I was coming in with a small income as an indie, and with the hopes of having more books produced and increasing that income every year a little bit. And so to begin with, I was writing a lot. And I even joined with a co-author, and we wrote books together so that I could increase my output. Because the philosophy for many years amongst indies has been that you have to do rapid releases and hurry up and publish. And, you know, I was doing fine with that, but I wasn't seeing the success that all that work was, you know, it was inequitable. And I knew every year I would reevaluate what I was doing at the end of the year and be like, well, how did this work? You know, and is it wise to continue doing the same thing next year? And of course, the answer in that case was no, because, you know, I'm writing all of these books, and yes, you know, I'm having some success, but it's very kind of flash in the pan, like, oh, it's a lot of sales, then the next book comes out, then that drops, and then you're in this roller coaster. And so I changed my philosophy. I said, I'm going to try something different. And this time I'm going to focus more on writing the books. I'm going to focus more on marketing those few books. Instead of having to market 7 books in 1 year, so I'm going to write a trilogy, and so most of my marketing efforts are going to be on the first book. And so it made a huge difference, right? Really? Because now, I mean, if you look at my first book in that series has like 2,600 reviews, right? That's an indicator of kind of, you know, how many people are reading it. And when you look at A Court of Thorn and Roses or some of the big releases, you see 50,000 reviews, 60,000 reviews. So what I'm seeing there is potential, right? My series is not dead until I say it's dead. If I keep promoting it, there's 48,000 more people at least that can, you know, read that book. And so that was kind of some work I had to do on, you know, listening to my own instincts and going against what a lot of indie authors are doing, and telling myself, just be more deliberate about it. And so as part of that, so now I only have 3 books, right? So I'm thinking, how do I make more products from these 3 books? And Kickstarter was definitely a, you know, one of those things that allows you to do that. So I have the same books, the same words I wrote in the same amount of time, but I can create a special edition, especially for those readers who have loved the series so much. That's another thing. I did it because the series has been mildly successful, and there are some readers, I had never seen this happen, but I have readers who have created shelves, you know, with all the art and all the books. And I was like, my gosh, this is a true fan. You know, you only need 1,000 of those. And so I have a few, and I'm like, they would love a special edition, right? And so I saw that there was potential for that. If it hadn't sold so well, you know, every author wants special editions of their books, but I don't think it would have made sense. Right. And I have so many books, and I don't think I'm going to do I've seen authors that are grabbing every book they have and making special editions of all their books. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to really reserve the special editions for really special occasions and special series that are special for the readers.
Yeah.
So that was the reason why it was a change in methodology for my publishing career. And right now I'm thinking, am I going to keep doing what I did this year? Yes, I think it will. And I will reevaluate again next year. But so far, I'm writing another trilogy and it's going to release next year. And it's going to be kind of the same path of releasing 3 books and focusing very hard on promoting the first book.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I mean, you're taking more of like I would almost say like a traditional publisher approach where you have your year lined up and you know when they're going to release and you know to focus on book 1 because it's going to have the read through ability and everyone will be able to read through, and once they get used to seeing book 1 they're gonna, oh, there's book 2 available and book 3 is coming out soon. So it kind of builds in that readership. So that's really interesting. And my next question was going to be, since you've had such success with Kickstarter, would you do it the same way? I mean, it seems like such a low-hanging fruit to do a limited edition. You're really just doing, new covers, fancy covers, having like a beautiful jacket to your books. But would you do a Kickstarter for like a new release? So, put all that marketing energy into book 1 as a Kickstarter, as opposed to waiting until all the books are out and doing a Kickstarter for, kind of retrospectively. This would be more like proactively doing a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, I think that I would not. That's right now what I'm thinking. I would wait till the whole series is out to be able to offer a more robust product to the readers. I think I may be wrong because I have seen people that do it in Kickstarter, but this is just my experience and my gut feeling talking, is that less people would be willing to put money into a book 1 of a series that they don't know. The people who would actually do it are your diehard fans. And if I were someone like Cassandra Clare, which just put her Kickstarter out, I think yesterday or this week, that's a different ball game, right? She could probably come up with any idea, I'm going to write a graphic novel on my grocery list or something, and it would sell, right? Because she's Cassandra Clare. But me, my new series is called the Eldrestone series, and people are going to be like, what is the Eldrestone, right? And my diehard fans, which aren't that many, will probably go and buy it, but that's not going to make a very, very successful Kickstarter for me. So I don't think that I would do that. I think that I would wait until the whole series is out. And on top of that, see how it did, how well received it was. And because it's a lot of work to put together a special edition. I just finished formatting, was it 12 different files for the trilogy to send to the offset printer, and including like the dust jackets, case interior, stencil edges. I mean, there's files for every little part of the book, and it's a lot of work. And one problem is I do all of it myself. I need to start kind of delegating some of these things, finding people that I can rely on for that. And so it's gotten into my writing time and my editing time. And so to make it worthwhile, I would want to set a very high goal. Probably my second Kickstarter would be a higher goal, because I thought $7,000 for an initial goal, for me, it felt pretty high. And so, because a lot of people are doing their Kickstarters with a 500 goal. But my idea was like, I was not afraid of failing, of not funding. I was actually like, if I don't fund what it's required for me to print all these books, I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to right? And so first I figured out how much it would cost to get all these books printed and all the art paid for and everything. And okay, if I don't fund, this is not paying for itself. So, right. And so I made sure I funded, and now I'm like, yay. Any little bit extra is extra, right? But everything is funded. So I think the next time I would aim for even a higher goal, maybe 10,000, which and so for that, I think I would need the best product, the more robust that it could be,
Yeah.
not just a single book.
I think you're dead on, and you know your audience. Your audiences. This first Kickstarter was a great sort of trial balloon to see, like, okay, what do my readers think? What do they really want? You're getting good feedback, and you're going to get even more feedback when people start receiving the limited editions and taking, but like, you're going to get even more energy around people like, oh my gosh. And people who missed the Kickstarter can be like, oh, I had no idea. I'd be like, well, I'll tell you next time, sign up for the newsletter. So I think it's going to be a fun, to see it go full cycle. You're going to see really the impacts that there is on that. So that's really great. Now I think it's been wonderful to watch your success and watch you go forward. And of course, like, we connected on TikTok, and TikTok is such a great place to be. And like, there's such incredible fan energy there. And there's also like sort of the downside with all social media. If anything goes viral, it's almost like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you went viral. It was horrible. Because it's so, and I wish more people understood. There's so many anonymous commenters, and they just like leave comments and things like that. And I know that you've experienced some of that. So what would you like both, writers, before they get onto any social media platform, especially TikTok though, which can really, spiral kind of out of control sometimes. What would you want writers to know before starting to put things out on TikTok? And what would you like commenters to know? Because if someone's reading and commenting, what would you like them to know as well?
Okay, so let's see. For authors that are wanting to join, and I know there's lots of authors who are still resisting TikTok, and some that will never get on there, and it's not a wrong choice. If you decide that it's not for you, it's not a wrong choice, because it really is very challenging, and it can be stressful being on there, and stressful dealing with different characters that you can find on the app, different types of readers. So I would say to any author who wants to get on TikTok to be very deliberate about it, and first decide what they want out of it. A lot of people just start posting random things and following the trends that other authors are doing, the page flip, or just the photos, aesthetics, or just a quote, different things that they have done. And I have done some of that, and I went through the learning pains of it, and I wish that I had done some of this myself to begin with. And finally I decided that the next year I'm going to be moving on to a new series, and if all I've been posting is pictures and I'm not in the videos, I'm not really marketing myself as an author. And that was a personal decision of me. I want to people to say, I read Ingrid Seymour, not I read A Healer of Kingdoms, so that you can later bring those readers on to anything else, anything new that you write. And so I want them to, when a video of mine comes up, it's like, oh, it's Ingrid, oh, her hair is not as purple today as the other day. It's faded out a bit, but they know who I am. And that is a risk also, it comes with people, finding a deeper connection with you because they're seeing your face, rather than just a page flip or something. And sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing. There's groups of people on TikTok and a very toxic side of TikTok that are very negative and like the drama and like to attack. So you have to be very aware of those things before you decide to put yourself out there. I would definitely advise authors to stay away from controversial topics and giving their personal opinions on things. The environment has gone too volatile there, and you might be expressing an opinion on something that is very, to you think this is, harmless. But there will be people who can twist that harmless thing you say and turn it into something huge. And next thing you know, you have hundreds, thousands of people attacking you and coming into your comments and saying ugly things. And it's like, wait, whoa, what happened? I didn't mean what they're saying. Right. And so that's why I try to focus mostly on my books. I do, address sometimes topics that are relevant at the moment. But I always try to say, I'm doing this with respect, and I'm not attacking anyone, and always be respectful of everyone. The commenters also, just stay positive. That's all I can try to say to them. I don't understand the culture of flipping to someone's video, disagreeing with them, and immediately assuming that you have to tell them why they're wrong. I flip through to TikTok a lot, and I'm like, well, I don't agree with that. Move on, next video. Oh, I don't agree with that either. Move on. I don't have to attack every person I disagree with. And I think we would have a much more positive and happier community if we all just moved on sometimes, and didn't take everything so seriously and so to heart. So it's just social media.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good advice. Just as a creator, be intentional, build boundaries. I'm never afraid to block and delete comments. Like if you see your comment section spiraling out of control, I'm like, I own my social media. I will moderate my own comments, and it's for your own mental health, I think. And so I will very much remove comments that, I'm like, I don't like the direction this is going in. I'm not going to respond to it. I'm just going to delete it and block that commenter. And some people say that that's selective. And I'm like, it's exactly what it is. It's my social media. You make whatever content you want and deal with your commenters however you want, but I'm going to do it the way I want to do it.
It's you can't do right by them. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you do. If you block, then, oh, well, you must be guilty because you blocked everybody. Right. If you don't block, then I don't know, you're attacking me or something. Yeah. And so the only thing that you can do is do what agrees with your morals and with how you want to handle things. And that's it. Make yourself happy, because you're not going to make all those millions of people happy. So exactly. Yeah. That is, I mean, social media is great for connecting us. And then it's also very difficult to be connected to so many people at the same time who you normally would never interact with. And some people saying things who would never say that to your face ever. And you have to deal with it in the comments. Yes. So it can be really that is so true. It can be really tough. Well, anyway, I will link to your Kickstarter so that people can go check out Healer of Kingdoms, see these beautiful covers. Absolutely gorgeous covers. I think your original covers were also beautiful. And then this deluxe limited edition, even more beautiful. And it's just, just like upgrade on upgrade. So definitely worth checking out. So definitely go check that out. Is there anything else, Ingrid, that you want to add before we wrap up? No, I just want to thank you for having me. And it was a pleasure meeting you. And I will continue to follow you and see what other people you bring on and learn from them too. Yes, I love learning so much from everyone. And I think that, we all have such different approaches to writing and marketing. And it's always so interesting to learn what everyone is doing and see what's going on. As a community, it's always nice to help one another and, keep lifting each other up as much as we can. So wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Ingrid. Again, I will link to everything, so please go check it out. Thanks again for listening, and see you next time. Thanks.